Hey y'all, let's talk about what we've been doing in class for discrete. If you missed last week, I'm sure it's been pretty confusing, but I promise it looks a lot scarier than it is. This is probably one of the easier things you will do in math in high school. Um, but it is helpful to have like pencil and paper for this, or to have a printed copy of the notes. Those are helpful things. So we're just starting in graph theory, and we're going to be talking about these terms here. So vertices, edges, loops, multiple edges, isolated vertex. Those are our opening key terms. So vertice or a vertex would be the singular form. A vertice is a dot or a point that's on the graph. So here we have A is a vertice, B, C, D, and E. Those are all vertices. I think that's a pretty simple concept to understand. Edges are lines or curves that connect any two vertices. But there's nothing else behind my face there. So, for instance, an edge here would be AB. Okay. Or let's see, AE is another edge. Really, probably a simple way to think about it is they kind of are for the most part like lines. AE is one, and then it's really nice if you have highlighters. These makes kind of understanding what's going on here easier. I realize you probably can't see the AB now, but and then you have, let's see, AD. You have E to D. Okay, and then we also have D to E. For the most part, my handwriting sloppy. For the most part, the way that you name them, order does not matter. So you could call AB BA, and it would be the same thing. So those two things are the same. They are equal to each other. You can use them interchangeably, and that's fine. The only time that orders kind of matter, or that you know you kind of have to think about it, is like here when you have ED, E to D and D to E, you've got two lines or curves coming from this back and forth between the same 2 points. So when you list them, you could list it as ED and DE. You'll probably notice we'll see over here by itself. That makes sense. So that would be the isolated vertex. It's the one by itself. It's not connected. So that will be a vertex not connected to another by an edge. Okay. And then if you have multiple edges, that's going to be when you have multiple curves or lines, multiple edges going between the same 2 points. So for instance, ED and DE. That would be an example of a multiple edge, like we just discussed, that you have here coming back and forth. And then I think a loop's also pretty self-explanatory for itself. Our loop here would be BB. So that's when you have a vertex that kind of starts and ends. Woo! My circle got pretty bad. Starts and ends back at itself. So that is called a loop. So hopefully this helps you understand just a little bit more about our key terms going into graph theory and circuits. And let me know if you have any other questions, or if you have any requests for videos. I'll do my very best to make them.